Welcome back to Respoiled. Today, I have another captivating story to share with you. But before we dive in, if you're new here, I invite you to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications, so you'll never miss out on all of my latest uploads. Now let's get started. While flying to Russia, Ben and his colleague Sean, both American software developers, experience a momentary power outage due to an electrical malfunction. Fortunately, power is quickly restored, and they safely land in Moscow. Their purpose in Moscow is to seek local investors for their app, which helps users find bars and events nearby. Sean's suit is old and has a hole, so he improvises by using a marker to cover it up. During their journey to the company, they check if anyone is using their app in the area and find two American girls enjoying themselves. They finally reach a boardroom, only to find out that their associate Skylar has already begun the investment meeting, pitching a copycat version of their idea to the Russians. Skylar dismisses them and has security escort them out. Later, Ben and Sean head to a club to drown their sorrows. Sean meets a girl he's interested in, only to discover she's with Skylar. They also spot Anne and Natalie, the girls they saw on the app, and approach them, pleased to be recognized from their developer blog. The group is enjoying themselves when the lights abruptly go out and their phones die. The entire town spills out onto the streets, gazing up at the sky where they witness a yellow aurora that suddenly breaks apart into glowing orbs. These orbs descend upon the city, scattering into smaller fragments upon landing. One lands close to Sean's group, prompting everyone to recoil in astonishment. Although the object is barely visible, it emits a faint shimmer from certain angles. A police officer cautiously approaches and prods the light with his baton, only to be instantly disintegrated until only ash remains. Amidst panic, another officer attempts to shoot at the light, but the bullet disintegrates upon contact. More lights emerge, claiming lives indiscriminately. Sean's group retreats into the club and secures the doors, but the light shatters all the windows. This entity perceives the world in grayscale, with humans glowing orange. It continues its assault by emitting energy beams, drawing victims into its core for disintegration. Someone hastily constructs a makeshift Molotov bomb from bar supplies and hurls it at the creature, temporarily holding it at bay with fire. Skylar rushes into the club, shutting the door behind him and leaving his date to face immediate disintegration. Sean's group locates an exit through a breached wall and takes refuge in a supply room with a wounded bartender. Outside, the carnage continues unabated, claiming lives without remorse. A frantic knock at their door prompts Natalie to open it against the group's objections, revealing Skylar seeking shelter with them. The supply room provides a safe haven, with hours passing by uneventfully as the group sustains themselves with the available food. Unfortunately, the bartender succumbs to his wound, prompting the group to wrap his body in plastic and duct tape to prevent decomposition and mask the odor. Tensions escalate daily, leading to frequent arguments. With supplies dwindling after 5 days, and a prolonged period of silence, they decide to venture out in search of the U.S. Embassy. Upon exiting, they discover the bar in ruins and devoid of occupants. Gathering whatever supplies they can salvage, they also procure a map of Moscow, albeit one lacking significant landmarks. They encounter deserted and debris-filled streets with abandoned cars scattered at every intersection. Aimlessly walking down the streets, they're startled by a noise. Spotting a Russian woman sealing her apartment window, they attempt to seek assistance, but she only warns them in Russian about the ghosts outside, unable to understand English. Eventually, they locate the bridge intended to guide them to the embassy, only to find it obliterated by a warship collision. While brainstorming alternate river crossing methods, they stumble upon Red Square and spot an abandoned police car. Skylar and the girls conceal themselves nearby as Ben and Sean cautiously maneuver to reach the car, prying open the trunk to discover a superior map and a flare gun. Suddenly, a dog nearby starts barking at an unseen threat before it abruptly disintegrates. In a panic, Ben and Sean urge the others to seek refuge inside the mall, then quickly hide beneath the police car. As the creature draws nearer, the car's siren and lights activate, but it fails to detect the duo hiding beneath. Eventually, the creature retreats, and Ben and Sean make their way into the mall to reunite with the others. As they survey the area, they're stunned to discover an airliner crashed into the building. Skylar suggests they wait here for assistance, but Sean and Ben believe they must keep moving to ensure their survival. Reflecting on the situation, they deduce that the creatures likely rely on an electrical field for protection, triggering electrical devices. They scavenge for light bulbs, fashioning them into necklaces to serve as warning signals that illuminate if the monster approaches. Afterwards, they search for more suitable attire for swift movement. Sean involuntarily watches as Natalie undresses, but the light bulbs illuminate, startling him. He promptly freezes in the display window and, surprisingly, the creature passes by without detecting him. Meanwhile, Natalie seeks refuge among the clothes racks as the monster enters the shop. Just as it's about to capture her, Sean pulls her away and instructs her to remain still. Once more, the entity passes by them closely, oblivious to their presence, though Natalie's hair frizzes due to its electricity. Sean deduces that glass obstructs the creature's sensors as it serves as an electrical insulator. The group exits the mall and begins their search for the US Embassy, only to discover it in ruins. The entrance is littered with bullet shells from a previous gunfight, and Skylar discovers a semi-automatic rifle, claiming it for himself. He becomes overly enthusiastic and starts firing indiscriminately, drawing disapproving looks from the other Americans. Skylar remains at the entrance to stand guard while the rest head upstairs in search of survivors, but the building turns out to be deserted. In the Situation Room, they uncover reports detailing the aftermath. Global communications ceased just 3 minutes post-attack, with many capital cities under invasion, and no effective means to combat the monsters have been discovered. The prevailing solution thus far is seeking refuge underground. Examining a map on the table, they are disheartened to realize the numbers represent survivor estimates. Additionally, they discover a radio inside a birdcage. Sean cautiously activates it, only to hear a message in Russian, which they cannot comprehend. Fearful of attracting the creature's attention, Anne insists that Sean power down the radio. Peering outside with a rifle scope, the group observes multiple balls of yellow light and smoke ascending into the sky as they tunnel throughout the city. This digging instigates the collapse of buildings near those areas, escalating the devastation. Suddenly, they discern gunshots and spot Skylar sprinting down the street. Sean and Ben opt to pursue him for his safety. As they depart, they seize the map and radio from the cage. Sean and Ben arrive on the street as Anne and Natalie spot an approaching monster, prompting them to rush out to warn the guys. Upon reaching Skylar, car alarms blare, signaling the creature's proximity. Skylar instructs the guys to flee while he diverts the creature's attention by firing at it. This sacrifice results in Skylar's swift disintegration, but it enables the boys to evade capture. Upon regrouping, Sean spots an illuminated room in a distant apartment building, suspecting it is the reason for Skylar's departure. Carefully navigating through the darkness, the group traverses the city, evading the creature's notice, and arrives at the apartment building just before sunrise. While navigating the corridors, they encounter Vika, who brandishes her gun and speaks in Russian, blocking their path. The group explains in English about the light they saw, fortunately finding out that Vika also speaks English. She guides them to the apartment with the light, revealing that she came for the same reason. Much to their surprise, the apartment is entirely enclosed by a metal cage, with even the cat outfitted with a small metal structure. Sergei, the owner, is delighted to see more survivors and explains that he has a diesel generator. Vika adds that he converted the apartment into a Faraday cage, which is designed to block electromagnetic fields and is commonly used in scientific research. This setup effectively keeps the creatures at bay. The group activates the radio from the cage, and Vika provides translation. The message reveals that a nuclear submarine is stationed in the Moscow River and will rescue any survivors who reach it before morning. They also mention that numerous submarines worldwide are following the same protocol, and Sergei clarifies that submarines serve as ideal Faraday cages. The group decides to depart together to locate the submarine, but they require provisions first. Vika accompanies Natalie and Anne to search other apartments for supplies, inadvertently leaving the latch partially open upon their exit. Meanwhile, Sergei demonstrates to Sean and Ben a microwave gun he constructed, suggesting it might disrupt the waveform and electrical shield of the creatures. As the girls scavenge for supplies, the creatures detect their presence in the building and begin closing in for an attack. The outdoor lights expose their movements, prompting the girls to flee. Vika dashes to locate a hiding spot, believing the apartment is too distant, while Anne believes she can reach Sergei's place and starts running, with Natalie following closely. They succeed in reaching the apartment but struggle to shut the hatch, opting to hide behind a glass table instead. The creature swiftly enters, causing the cat to flee, and Sergei fires the microwave rifle at it. The waves appear to be effective, momentarily immobilizing the creature and exposing its grotesque form within the light. Regrettably, the immobilization only lasts briefly, and Sergei can't recharge the weapon quickly enough, allowing the monster to vanish again and disintegrate Sergei. As Sean and Ben ascend the fire escape, Natalie rushes to ignite some diesel fuel to mask their departure. Afterward, she joins the boys, but Anne, paralyzed by fear, fails to move swiftly enough. By the time she leaves the table, the monster spots her and disintegrates her as well. Natalie is devastated, but Sean urges her to keep moving. The trio descends the emergency stairs and meets Vika outside the building, fleeing as they witness flames engulfing the apartment. Shortly after, they encounter a group of Russian policemen adorned in makeshift metal armor, armed with homemade weapons and shields. Instructing the group to conceal themselves, the policemen engage the monster as the street lights illuminate. Through a combination of gunfire, a flamethrower, and a rocket-propelled grenade, they successfully injure the monster and drive it off. The officers clarify that they can harm the aliens but cannot eliminate them, highlighting the creature's vulnerability when they employ their lightning. Sean notices a fragment of tough black material on the ground, a piece dislodged from the creature's shield, and decides to retain it. Subsequently, the officers escort the group to their refuge, exchanging information. While the officers express skepticism about the reliability of the radio message, their leader underscores the distance to the river and the pervasive danger in the area. Despite initial reluctance from the officers to accompany them, the group persists in their desire to depart, though the officers prioritize safeguarding their territory. Natalie expresses her desire to return home, prompting the officers to agree to escort them to the river. Both parties depart together, opting for the safety of the subway tunnels. In the dimly lit tunnels, they scatter small light bulbs on the ground to detect any approaching monsters. The bulbs illuminate instantly, prompting the group to seek refuge on the subway platform as lines of light penetrate the tunnel in pursuit. Safely on the tracks, one by one, the group members jump down, except for Vinka, who becomes trapped behind a pillar as the light searches for her. Ben returns to rescue her, just managing to push her to safety onto the tracks in time. However, he fails to move quickly enough, and the light seizes him, dragging him along the floor before extinguishing him. Shocked, Sean is urged into action by Natalie, and the group exits the tunnel without further casualties. They soon reach the river and come across a boat, which they commandeer to navigate until they locate the submarine. During the wait, they mourn their fallen comrades, prompting Sean to bid farewell to Natalie preemptively, regretting not having done so with Ben. Eventually, the boat becomes stranded due to debris, necessitating their efforts to dislodge it. Suddenly, they observe numerous colossal beams of light hoisting metals and resources skyward, leading the cops to deduce that these must be aliens scavenging Earth's minerals due to their conductivity. Just then, they spot the submarine finally nearing their location, but simultaneously, a nearby building along the riverbank crumbles. Debris cascades onto the boat, causing it to capsize and plunging everyone into the water. Sean, Vika, and the cops succeed in swimming to the submarine, although one officer sustains a severe leg injury. The captain greets them and insists they depart at once, yet Sean realizes Natalie is nowhere to be found. Spotting a flare in the distance, Sean deduces it's from Natalie and persuades the captain to delay their departure until they locate her. Prior to setting off, the submarine technicians examine the microwave gun and construct an improved version with superior batteries. Sean departs with the cops, armed with as many weapons as they can carry, leaving Vika aboard the submarine for safety. The group proceeds cautiously, deploying phones as alerts along their path. They arrive at a trolleybus depot, but a ringing phone signals an approaching alien. The officers seek shelter, while Sean fumbles with his weapon, but manages to activate it in the nick of time. Once more, the waves immobilize the alien, exposing its grotesque visage, enabling the cops to shoot it down. The creature detonates and perishes permanently, affirming the necessity of using waves to disrupt its electrical shield beforehand. The group rejoices, catching Natalie's call as she triggers the bus's windshield wipers to signal her whereabouts. Amidst more ringing phones, they devise a strategy. Sean heads towards Natalie, while the cops remain behind, pouring water from a tank truck to enhance the microwave gun's impact. However, the aliens keep their distance from the water. Just then, Vika emerges and hurls Molotov cocktails at the aliens, compelling them to advance onto the water. The cops fire the microwave gun, exposing 3 aliens with unprotected bodies, then they fire all the weapons to detonate them individually. Meanwhile, Sean locates Natalie inside the bus, and they embrace. Suddenly, an electrical surge from an alien closes the bus doors and sets it in motion. Sparks reveal the alien's presence inside, and Sean attempts to shoot it, but the bus's motion causes him to miss. Despite this, Sean targets the alien with the waves as it grabs Natalie's leg and begins to pull her. Natalie assumes control of the wheel, preventing the bus from crashing while Sean maintains fire on the alien, freezing it but failing to eliminate it. Armed with only the fragment of black substance, Sean hurls it at the creature, causing it to detonate. With the cessation of electrical activity, the bus finally comes to a halt. Subsequently, the group hurries back to the submarine, while the officers opt to remain behind to defend their territory, requesting Sean to disseminate the knowledge of defeating the aliens to the world. The repaired cell phone enables Natalie to receive a text from her mother, indicating her safety and sheltering with survivors in Penn Station. Sean and Natalie attempt a kiss, thwarted by Vika's disapproval. Subsequently, they review the embassy's map while listening to shortwave radio updates on groups resisting the alien invasion. Motivated, they resolve to join these resistance efforts. Don't forget to like, subscribe and enable notifications for more content like this. Thank you for watching.